Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today's Monday, March 9, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. A Mississippi civil rights group has documented 70 modern-day lynchings in the South from 2000 to 2025, though historians say the last official lynching was in 1981. The founder of JULIAN, the nonprofit behind the report, will join us. Also on the show, the economic slowdown is affecting the Black unemployment rate in a huge way. Morgan Harper, the economist, will be here to talk about Trump's awful February job numbers. Big lawsuit in Texas related to women and minority-owned businesses. They were removed from the Texas historically underutilized business program. We'll talk with the head of the Black Economic Forum about that very issue. MAGA. All of a sudden, they actually are pretending to care about Reverend Jesse Jackson and trying to use comments made by his son because they don't like the criticism of Donald Trump. Speaking of Donald Trump, the Obama Presidential Center is going to be opening on June 18th. Trump ain't invited to the party. Oh, well. Plus, speaking of that idiot, he met at the White House for a discussion about college athletics and NIL, things along those lines. Isn't it interesting how these Republicans claim to care about free markets, yet when Black athletes start getting paid, now they want to regulate the free markets? Oh, I got something to say. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. Yeah, it's all go, y'all. Yeah, it's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Historians say the last lynching took place in 1981. However, a new report from Mississippi civil rights group says that 70 took place between 2000 and 2025. The group is called JULIAN. It's titled The Crimson Record, identifies cases across 7 states, Georgia, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. It documents 70 instances of modern-day lynchings in these southern states in the last 25 years. The findings indicate the actual number could exceed 100 when suspicious deaths are taken into account. Joining us right now is Jill Collin Jefferson. She's the founder of JULIAN. She joins us right now. Glad to have you here. So first and foremost, well, folks, explain your definition of a lynching because the average person is thinking somebody hanging from a tree. So walk us through that.
Okay, so our definition of a modern day lynching is a discriminatory killing committed in the late 20th or early 21st centuries by more than one person, carried out for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial or due process. And our definition expands the definition to include deaths of trans people, deaths of Indigenous women, deaths of brown people, and physically impaired people as well, not just Black people.
Okay. And how did you go about documenting this?
So this was a long process. You know, the bulk of the work took 18 months, but this was really a 2-year process where we were talking to families. We were scouring newspapers and all the public records. We looked in every single newspaper in every single county in every single state that we studied. Um, we looked on social media. We documented from conversations with forensic pathologists, from conversations with former FBI agents, from conversations with forensic psychologists. And so we did all of this work to document these cases and then analyze each of the cases and figure out if it fit in one of 3 categories, whether it was a modern day lynching, whether it was another type of hate crime, or whether it was a suspicious death.
Gotcha. And were you using official autopsies, or again,
Yes.
how was it decided?
In a lot of instances, we did use official autopsy reports and police records. But what I will say is that we did not always come out with the same conclusions that those records came out with. So, for example, in the Raynard Johnson case, which was the first modern day lynching recorded in Mississippi, that happened in the year 2000, and the FBI found that that was a suicide. We found the complete opposite after investigating that case and talking with the same medical examiner who had done the FBI's medical examination. And what he told us was that the facts that we gave him were not given to him at the time. And he said if he'd known those facts, he would not have been able to rule it a suicide, that he would not have been able to tell if it was a lynching or a suicide. And so we uncovered different things in cases that the police have not uncovered as well.
Gotcha. And what do you hope folks take away from this?
I hope people take away the urgency of this moment, that this is a time where these cases are rising due to the radicalization online, due to the racialized rhetoric, due to the anti-trans rhetoric and anti-immigrant rhetoric that's going on. The number of modern day lynchings has not decreased, it's increased in recent years, and we expect it to continue to increase. And so people need to know that these cases are still happening so that they can watch their backs and understand what's really going on in America.
My panel joining us right now, Thelma Anderson, creator of the Public Opinion Court, as well as author of Shut Up and Prosecute out of Dallas, Dr. Congo Dominguez Sr., professor of lecturer, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism, joining us from D.C., also attorney Scott Bolden, also joining us from D.C. Glad to have all 3 of you here. Congo, you're first with your question.
Thank you so much for doing this. And my question is, as you connect the past to the present, does the type of formula that you're using, meaning that we also may have to go back and revise some of the stories and accounts from prior times before 2000?
So, no, we don't have to go back to historical lynchings, but I would suggest that we go back at least to 1981 and look at the modern day lynchings. And so, the reason why I say that is because at a certain point in history, especially contemporary history, when you get into the 70s and the 80s, the nature of lynching started to change, which led to this changing definition. No longer was it just like the KKK committing an act. It's people online who get radicalized and then get offline and go out and do something. And so this new definition is sort of meant for new times. So it's no need to go back to the historical lynchings to change that definition or look at those. I would say, though, that there should be more examination of the deaths of Indigenous women and trans women that go back further than what we've studied.
Elma? Scott.
Yeah, thank you so much for your hard work. What begs the question with your hard work and the results is that throughout your research, were there any opportunities to go back to those local jurisdictions or even the feds to say, hey, take another look at this? We think this was a lynching. It was never defined as that, but we think it merits more investigation. Did you have any circumstances like that?
Yes, we did. So in the Willie Andrew Jones Jr. case, for example, that's Willie was a 21-year-old Black man found hanging from a tree in Scott County, Mississippi in 2018. And with that case, we solved that case from start to finish and found out that it was a lynching. It had been ruled a suicide. And we took our findings to the district attorney and gave him all of our findings. We also won an $11 million civil suit in that case. But the DA, even though the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation reopened the case, the DA still has refused to charge the lynchers. And these are people who tried to lynch someone before they lynched Willie and have threatened to lynch people since, yet they're still free. We also are going to the FBI about Raynard Johnson's case, and there are certain circumstances in other cases where we are contacting local authorities.
Thank you. You know, I also think that there are anti-lynching laws in most states, in most jurisdictions in the country, although it's very rare that someone gets prosecuted for lynching, but your work could be the impetus for something like that. Am I right about that? Every state, including and the District of Columbia, have anti-lynching laws.
Well, states have hate crimes laws that don't specifically talk about lynching and don't really apply to the lynching context as well. They don't map over very well. But what Congress did in 2022 was pass the Anti-Lynching Act, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that legislation is toothless. It doesn't really do anything to help solve or prevent these cases from happening. So what we have in this report, A Crimson Record, are several policy recommendations for what needs to happen on the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act and what needs to happen on the state level as well. I will say that we did bring an anti-lynching bill as well as bills in Mississippi to increase the requirements for coroners, because in Mississippi to be a coroner, all you have to have is a high school diploma or equivalent and pass a test. And so we introduced the anti-lynching bill there, as well as requirements for raising the standards for coroners, and both of those bills died in committee. What I can say is that we're working now on the federal level with a congressman to bring amendments to the 2022 Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act that we do hope will make this substantive legislation actually impactful.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Good luck with your future work on this important subject.
Thank you.
All right, then. Jill, where can people go to look at the report?
At JULIANfreedom.org, it's under our press and media. It says databases and resources. And just quickly, alongside the report is the first ever national modern day lynching database that covers these states. And so you guys can have a look at that as well. JULIANfreedom.org.
And just last question. So we were talking about victims. Who is the number one victim? Is it black? Is it black men?
Yes. The majority of the cases are Black men, and the majority of the people who were killed in their teens and 20s. The youngest person was 14, and the oldest was 60.
All right, then. All right, well, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me, Roland.
All right, folks, got to go to break. We come back just in the NBA, because the Atlanta Hawks, y'all are not having a Magic City night. I'll share that with you when we come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
This is Bill Duke, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Well, a lot of people were surprised and shocked when the Atlanta Hawks announced if they were going to have Magic City night in their State Farm Arena on March 16th. You've had several NBA players who said that this was an affront to women. Hawks said, hey, whatever, we're moving forward. They had a lot of people who I saw this Killer Mike make some comments like, yo, we don't give a damn what y'all think. If the city's good with it, y'all should be good with it and shut up. NBA was like, nah, that ain't happening, boo. NBA dropped this statement right here. The NBA today announced that it has canceled the Atlanta Hawks' planned in-arena promotion for the game on March 16th. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver issued the following statement. When we became aware of the Atlanta Hawks' scheduled promotion, we reached out to Hawks leadership to better understand their plans and rationale. While we appreciate the team's perspective and their desire to move forward, we have heard significant concern from a broad array of league stakeholders, including fans, partners, and employees. I believe canceling this promotion is the right decision for the broader NBA community. All right. This was always quite interesting. It was supposed to take place a week from today. And like I said, you had a number of people who were saying, no, we ain't down with it. Luke Cornett, who was with the San Antonio Spurs, was actually asked about this, and this is what he said about that planned night.
During these times, speaking out on social issues as an athlete, it's kind of becoming few and farther between. There's just a lot of volatility, out there. What made you passionate about putting that in writing and standing on your morals?
I really just saw the statement last week in the announcement by the Hawks, and just in terms of the public voice as it pertained to, I feel like it didn't really represent what I know, myself and a lot of others throughout the NBA felt. So I think I did just, want to make sure that part of the discussion is expressed, and it comes with, people like criticism and stuff like that, and I think that's, part and parcel of why people might be hesitant to do so. But I think actually trying to get the conversation started and able to have is something that's important to be able to try to, help ensure that the league is kind of something that everyone is, wanting to represent and an environment that you want to have.
Has the league itself reached out to you, or have you heard from them?
Not really in the aftermath with it. Beforehand, I spoke with some people in the league just to kind of see what the status of it was, to make sure, I was kind of up to date on the situation. Since reaching out,
So, there were some who said that, and matter of fact, Al Horford, who's also NBA player, Al Horford, backed Cornett up, saying he agreed with him as well. And it was, it's been really interesting, matter of fact, go to my iPad. This was on Twitter. Legendary Magic City dancer says Luke Cornett needs to visit before criticizing. Okay, you see right here says this podcast here called says that Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Falcons, Magic City is part of the culture of the team. Let me go ahead. This is Speakeasy. Play some of this. Go ahead.
All right. It's bigger than government. It's bigger than you. Yo, this is a cultural thing, right? When you talk about Atlanta, you talk about the Atlanta Falcons, you talk about the Atlanta Hawks. Magic City is part of their like the strip clubs and all that, it's part of their culture. And a lot of people that came through the ranks of playing in Atlanta, rappers, entertainers, they talk about it. There's people that go to Magic City, they have wings, right?
Yes.
So it's like, we making this as a bad thing. He's making the bad.
I'm going there to have breasts
Y'all
and
making the bad
thighs,
thing.
too,
Can I play
though.
devil's advocate here?
I ain't with that.
Can I
I'm
play
cool with
devil's
that.
advocate here? If we're talking about the culture of certain cities,
the
the culture in Las Vegas is Nevada is a state where legal prostitution is allowed, where brothels are actually a thing. Does that mean we should be promoting them with our professional sports league? If the Vegas Raiders were just like, yo, go down to Pink Pony Club Bunny Ranch or whatever, like that'd be a problem. Even though it is a part of the culture, like it's a different.
What's the problem? No, they don't. Hold on. Let's hold it real quick.
Okay, we holding up.
None of our homeboys like, yo, we going to the brothel tonight. Nobody does all that. Well, my friends don't. That's not.
I'm saying that's a part of the Las Vegas culture, though.
A Las Vegas culture thing is like gambling.
Yeah,
Vegas.
of course.
Okay, so that's the main things.
But Atlanta's.
All right, so that was one of those debates. And I saw, of course, Cameron weighed in.
Protesting against this nigga. A protest start with you, nigga. Fuck you talking about. So protest start with that encyclopedia you wrote. I ain't listen to half that shit. Fuck you talking about all them big ass words. You know who's gonna be at Magic City Monday? T.I. expeditiously. Fuck is you talking about, nigga? Hold on, what the fuck did the
All right, so all quite interesting. Let's go to my panel. Thelma, we have Thelma. Is she there? Come on, y'all. Y'all got to get Thelma's signal straight. All right, because I know she got something to say. Let me go to Scott first. Scott, folk can yell, holler, scream that Magic City is a part of the culture of the Hawks, the NBA, as well as and the city of Atlanta. But let's be real clear. Houston and Dallas really was the strip capital of the world with the men's club.
Tampa, Florida.
No. I'm talking about the men's club where it originated.
Yeah.
First of all, ain't no NBA team in Tampa. Okay, they barely got a baseball team there. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's the strip capital of America. That's my point.
But what I'm saying is, when you talk about, I wouldn't know. You probably know more than I will.
I probably do.
Yeah, you probably do. So
that's right.
If I look at the men's club in Houston and Dallas, in terms of, it ain't like the Dallas Mavericks and the Houston Rockets gonna say, yo, let's have a men's club night. When you're talking about an NBA team, we're talking about a $10 billion enterprise. We're talking about advertisers, sponsors. I'm surprised it took this long for the NBA to say, no, hell no.
Man, let me. I got so many thoughts. I've been to Magic City, had a ball with my frat brothers and friends and so forth and so on. It is part of the underculture, if you will, of Atlanta, as well as the NBA. But that doesn't mean you got to celebrate it. I mean, let's just talk for a minute, Roland. What were they going to do to celebrate the Magic City women? Were they going to do a Hall of Fame or the top 25 in the history of Magic City?
No, they were going to have some.
Tell me what they were going to do.
They were going to have some portable poles rolled out.
Right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the short answer is no, and it shouldn't even gotten this far. Because see, what the NBA is trying to clean up over the last 20, 30 years, because the last NBA All-Star game I went to was in Vegas, and some of the raunchiness and ratchet things I saw in public men's rooms and in public areas, quite frankly, no wonder they went to Utah later. But my point is, the underbelly of the NBA is that underculture right there. And it's the NBA players and several athletes, not just the NBA. They have beautiful women. They have babies out of wedlock by 5 to 10, some of them. They have them, and they have the NBA teams have set aside rooms, family rooms, because the NBA players have so many kids by so many different women. That's the underbelly of the NBA. And the commissioner needs to clean that up. But we certainly don't need to celebrate it. You can't tell people what to do, but you don't need to be celebrated by Magic City. Come on, man. Come on.
I'm trying to find it. I have it on.
And I'm not glorifying women who take their clothes off for tips and so. I'm not glorifying it, nor am I criticizing them. I'm saying that the NBA ought not publicly, I don't know, celebrate that part of our culture.
Well, again, it's not the NBA. It was a team, but clearly, Thelma, they were like,
right.
Atlanta, seriously. And I love it. I love the comment from Adam Silver. We reached out to the team to get. I love this part here. We reached out to Hawks leadership to better understand their plans and rationale. I'm sure that conversation then was like, man, what the hell y'all doing?
And what I think back to was Lemon Pepper Lou. When he got in trouble for going to Magic City to get some lemon pepper wings when they were supposed to be in a bubble during the pandemic. So I'm like, y'all really are so invested in the strip club culture that you thought that you was going to create this idea of a collaboration that wasn't a collaboration, but because of the name, people are going to automatically think that, oh, the NBA now going towards the strip club? I mean, just make it obvious. Why don't you? So, but I do agree. I think it's a level of professionalism that you have to have when you're making all of this money to not think. I'm like, when nobody thinking about what this was gonna look like and how this was gonna come back and how everybody was gonna be getting a phone call, because it's not professional on any level. Do that outside. Y'all know y'all always be on flyers anyway with these nightclubs when y'all are doing things. Do it that way. Do not create this atmosphere as if it was accepted when it wasn't.
I'm in Congo. I mean, come on. Magic City night at an NBA game. I mean, were they gonna pass? Were they gonna pass out plaques? Were they gonna pass out, thick asses in jerseys? I mean, exactly what was, listen. You heard that brother talking about, some folks, they go there just for the wings. I remember. I ain't gonna name the NBA player. But I was in Dallas. It was like, hey man, meet at the men's club for a steak. I said, we in Dallas. It's steak houses everywhere. I said, I don't need titty with my steak. I was like, we can meet if we gonna go to a steakhouse, we can meet at a steakhouse. I don't need I said, come on, y'all. I said, the men's club steak ain't that damn good. But come on. And right, if you want some lemon pepper wings, you can go to Wingstop. You ain't got to go to Magic City. Come on, y'all. But Omicron, go ahead.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Scott talked about, being the underculture. The underculture doesn't need to be the overculture. Like, what's the desire to want to do that and also want to do that during Women's History Month? Like, where is the mindset as it relates to that? If we're supposed to have family organizations, I mean, we already got the kids watching their parents at the game gambling on the joints, on a free throw and who's going to get the next rebound. It's like we're already doing enough to soil the culture of the fan experience within the spot. Now you want to bring this type of element to it. Shout out to Luke Cornett, got a championship with the Boston Celtics, of course, greatest team in NBA history. But look, we have an overall undertone in this society right now with this president of misogyny. When you look at their entire administration, from him to Hegseth, just run down the list, like they've almost made misogyny even more mainstream than it already has been. And it really, Roland, has me thinking I was watching your coverage of Jesse Jackson's funeral and the speech Reverend Al Sharpton gave, and he was like, the things that we're doing to ourselves, running out here, calling ourselves, the B words and N words and the stuff we're putting in the music. It's like the things that we just make public in the culture really should not be made public. And I think that this should be a real opportunity for us to step back and really ask ourselves, what are we doing here? Because this should have never even got approved by anybody on the Hawks, and so I'm glad Silver shut it down because it's ridiculous.
I'm just trying to understand how that meeting happened. I mean, okay, I'm just trying to understand. All right, so I'm just trying to understand. All right, we in a meeting. Hey, y'all, we need some promotional nights in March. Man, let me see. Yo, I got an idea. Did y'all
It
catch?
always came to
Did y'all catch that Hulu documentary on Magic City? Oh, you know what? I think we should honor the cultural institution that it is at halftime. And wait a minute. And somebody in the meeting. Yeah, dog, you right. That's a good ass idea.
Right.
Oh, we could have some limited edition Magic City jerseys. Oh, let's see here. Matter of fact, we could sell some Magic City jerseys along with some Magic City Daisy Dukes. And then marketing you know what? I think, no.
Get him on the phone. Get him on the phone.
Right, I like, somebody like, oh, we gonna make it rain that night. I mean, what's the merchandise being sold in the arena on Magic City night?
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, who gonna be on, right, like, okay, is it a halftime presentation? I mean, are we gonna have polls in the concourse? Man, listen.
Right, that's right.
I'm just.
I'm with it. Put them out there.
Of course,
Put 'em out there.
Of course, you're with it.
If
That's
you
why
gonna
y'all.
do
That's
it,
why y'all have y'all Kappa Morehouse reunion
here-
at Magic
But
City.
here's the thing, Roland. Why did the commissioner, in all seriousness, why did the commissioner have to use his time to call the Atlanta Hawks, the leadership of Atlanta Hawks,
Easy
to have a discussion
because
with
the
them
Hawks-
about whether Magic City
because when they got
night was something that they should do that's consistent
because
with the
Scott,
best of the NBA.
Because when they got criticized, the Hawks said, "We still gonna do it," and the league was like, "I be damned." Now you gonna the league like
everybody's ignorant.
The league was like, "Now you gonna make me have to do this."
Right, that's right.
So for all y'all,
you gonna make me deal with you now.
So for all y'all who bought y'all tickets and y'all were going to the Atlanta game next Monday, the game is still going on, but ain't no Magic City night at the State Farm Arena on March 16th. All right, let's Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Only in Atlanta. Only in Atlanta. And let me go and let me just go ahead and say, as the vice president for digital for the National Association of Black Journalists, when we have our convention, when we unveiled today, our convention logo. We unveiled all of our stuff today. We announced our committee chairs. We did all that sort of stuff. You can see the logo right here. This is going to be our logo, our revolution, truth, power, and black journalism. There will not be a Magic City night at NABJ.
Those look like polls.
I'm just letting y'all know. No, it's not. I'm just letting y'all know there will not be a Magic City night when we have NABJ in Atlanta, August 12th through the 16th. I'm just saying. All right, let's talk about the economy, y'all. And that is, man, the jobs report came out on Friday, and I see why Donald Trump trying to blow up Iran, because the economy absolutely sucks. The jobs that we are losing, and it's beyond hilarious to listen to these maggots talk about how great Donald Trump is doing with the economy when that is not the case, y'all. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released their February report and just showed how bad it is. The labor force lost 92,000 jobs. Overall unemployment rate goes up 4.4%. Black unemployment rate going higher and higher, 7.7%. Yeah, that's real, okay? Black men, it dropped to 7%, but overall it went up, and we see what's going on, y'all. Is black women, it jumped to 7.1%. Morgan Harper is the Director of Policy and Advocacy at the American Economic Liberties Project. She joins us right now. Morgan at the airport, at least, Morgan, you not having to deal with like, at the TSA there. My wife was in Houston yesterday. 5-hour wait lines at the airport because of TSA. Yeah, it was crazy. MAGA real quiet about this jobs report in February, huh?
Yeah. I mean, this is a very, very bad jobs report. And, you know, Roland, all the caveat, it's just 1 month. Sure, and we've heard some experts say that, but it's a very, very bad month to see the only piece of the economy, as we've talked about month after month, that has been gaining jobs, which is healthcare, to now also be losing jobs. We saw healthcare jobs go down. That is just the latest sign that there are real problems that continue to bubble up to the surface. And if you dig into this, you'll see that there was a strike going on, Kaiser Permanente, that has a big presence on the West Coast healthcare system, had workers striking. So that's going to be the official explanation of this. But again, why is it that we have an economy where the only growth is happening through the healthcare sector? That is a problem. Manufacturing down, warehouse down, transportation down, construction down. So we'll continue to see, how this all develops next month too. But this is really troubling. I think the other, the figures you pointed out about Black unemployment, very, very disconcerting. That Black women are hemorrhaging jobs right now. The federal jobs continue to go down. That's something we have to really be sounding the alarm about. And then just overall, I mean, the things that don't get reported here, and we're starting to see more regularity with the reports of layoffs. Block, big tech company, thought of as, not some like real risky, adventurous type of tech company, payment systems, Cash App, these are well-known brands to a lot of us. They were laying off thousands of people, last week that they announced. And so we're going to continue to see some elements of job loss that are driven by things like AI, for sure. But a lot of this is self-inflicted harm by administration that has no coherent economic policy agenda.
I thought this was supposed to be the golden years. Oh my God, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that's what we were told, and instead, what we have is a real pay-to-play administration. If you have the money that you can get a meeting with the White House, then you can get potentially your deal through, or get your industry to not face the same level of regulation. Something that we've talked about, actually, we were just talking about during the State of the Union about these institutional investors with housing. Speaking of Atlanta, big issue in Atlanta. They're now trying to lobby to make sure that they aren't allowed to build as many homes to rent, lobbying Congress right now because they think that they can get away with it. That we see today that the DOJ antitrust division Ticketmaster case, huge thing, that venues across the country, people who own independent venues, have been calling for change here, that they've negotiated some backroom deal that now a federal judge today had to say, hey, you all don't get to negotiate some deal, not talk about it, have a day of trial today, and then expect that I'm going to be okay with that. We are so into unprecedented territory with things coming out of this administration, and the real consequences are ones that we, actual people out here, are going to continue to be living with.
Oh, absolutely. And you got people like Charles Gasparino who are going, this war with Iran is going to be great. He's going to take the mullahs out, and oil is going to be down to $40 a barrel. I'm like, dude, I don't know what world you're living in.
Yeah, the gas prices are good. Well, one, yeah, agreed. I mean, there's no strategic reason to be entering the war in Iran. A little outside my area, but I don't think you need to be some specialist in foreign policy to know that that makes no sense, and we don't have any track record with managing these situations well. And then, yeah, I mean, the direct consumer impact to increase gas prices. I mean, in Ohio, we saw pretty much overnight it was going up by 60 cents a gallon, et cetera. So, with folks already trying to balance so many costs and the increase in costs, beef, different groceries, utilities, to now have gas be this other thing that had been stable for a while that we're now seeing spike because of this ridiculous intervention in Iran, doesn't make any sense. And it's only going to continue to really hurt people, bottom line.
Absolutely. All right, Morgan, catch your flight. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Roland. Talk to you soon.
This is not, Congo, a great economy, and the Republicans can try to spin it as much as they can, but that dog won't hunt.
Yeah, and every single day it's getting worse. As a lot of people say, the biggest sign of how poorly the economy is doing, we're seeing it every single day on billboards when we look at the gas prices. And it's, around my way over here, it goes up every single day. And I'm just looking at every sector of the economy, every sector of this country is struggling in some way, shape, or form. And we know that these gas prices are going to allow for people to not be able to get to work. So they're probably going to get laid off as well. And all of this talk, and I mean, even today, Scott Besson, oh yeah, well, once this conflict is over, prices are going to go down, and they're going to go down rapidly. Like, they have no idea what they're doing, and every single day the American people continue to get squeezed. And I'm hoping, Roland, that is finally enough for many of these guys who put Trump in office, these farmers, all of these guys who talk about having maybe a little bit of buyer's remorse or whatever, but still stuck with him, to finally rise up. I mean, this is time to be voting people out of office. This is time to be boycotting some companies that are supporting him. There are ways that Americans can respond to this that are going to make the administration stop some of its ignorant and disrespectful and just really problematic actions. But if people just kind of say, oh, this is messed up, and just, sigh and just go on about their business, Trump is going to continue to destroy this country. And people can talk about recessions, but I'm seeing a depression coming with what they're talking about. I feel like we've been in a recession, even though you have to wait several months. But I'm looking at what's happened now. I feel like we're already there, and a depression is on the way. This man does not know what he's doing, and we're all suffering because of it.
Thelma?
I totally agree with the part about this being a depression, because when you look at the economy and how this administration really does not care. They did not come into office to stabilize or grow the economy. They came with one thing in mind, which was to make themselves richer and make the people who support them richer. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is the amount of fraud that is taking place, that is draining the taxpayers of this country, while it is enriching the individuals who are committing this under this administration. I mean, giving someone $140 plus million after starting a business 8 days before giving it to them is a clear indication that this administration not only is reckless, that they don't care about even the individuals that put them into office. And it's very concerning, even more so, to see that healthcare is being affected, not only just African Americans, but now I'm thinking like, okay, are we going to have to worry about the actual trade companies at some point? Because the way this economy is going, in a way that they don't care, and they're just doing whatever they want, like starting a useless, unnecessary war, is in return to diminish the United States in a whole and its economic power.
Scott?
Yeah, you know what I find really amazing, even for the Trump administration, is they inherited a pretty good economy. We had inflation, don't get me wrong, because that was the COVID investment that led to inflation. But the other numbers, the other economic numbers, were pretty stable and pretty low. Employment, we had low unemployment. You had high manufacturing jobs were on the rise. And all the economic indicators, other than inflation, and that was coming down at the end, we're in good shape. People weren't feeling it, but, there seemed to be some progress there. What's ironic to me and hypocritical is that Donald Trump ran on building a strong economy on day one. Now we're a year in, and it's not so much his economic decisions that really blow you away. It's his own economic terrorism that is driving the economy in a negative way that he is driving. The tariffs are making prices go up, not down, because we're paying that tax, right? The oil prices were down. Now they're going up because we voluntarily joined a war with Israel. By the way, we have different we have different strategic pieces as to why we're in that war, but they're not consistent with Israel, quite frankly. But again, more economic terrorism. The administration is affirmatively damaging and killing a once decent economy, not perfect. And yet he campaigned on just the opposite. And now in office, he continues to talk about how great the economy is, but the numbers don't match and his policies don't match. And it's causing a lot of economic havoc on not just day-to-day people, but the economic numbers themselves. We're up to close to 4.55% unemployment now. Interest rates still haven't come all the way down. And yet you have the rhetoric of Donald Trump and the administration, and then you have the political and economic reality that's staring us in the face. They don't match, and yet MAGA and the Republicans continue to support what is economically nonsensical. That just blows me away. Notwithstanding how what you feel about the administration and what they've done in the past and what you predicted they would do, that is still some incredible stuff to really deal with. And how you fix it, who knows? They won't be able to because they keep killing it.
Well, but they claim that they are just so amazing when it comes to the economy. And let me just remind people,
Just rhetoric,
you've
all
seen
talk.
the most losses of American jobs under Republican presidents and the largest gains among Democratic presidents. That's just a fact. All right, going to a break. We come back. Barack Obama announces when his presidential center in Chicago will open. Orange Man ain't invited. We'll discuss next. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, join our Bring the Funk fan club. Goals get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. It goes to support this show and all the other shows on our network. If you want to contribute, please do so via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see that right here. That's also for credit cards. Checks and money order. Make it payable to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Back in a moment.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
What's happening? This is your man, Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching the Black Star Network.
Well, folks, former President Barack Obama is set to open his presidential center in Chicago on June 18th. That's right, of course, Juneteenth weekend, if you will. The $850 million project includes a museum, library, athletic facilities, public meeting space, outdoor areas. Of course, roll a video, guys. And so Obama talked about this opening.
When visitors look up at the Obama Presidential Center's museum building, they'll see three simple, powerful words. You are America. Those words come from a speech that is especially close to my heart. The one I gave in Selma on the 50th anniversary of the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That day, we honored ordinary men and women who, at great risk to themselves, changed this country's course and helped bend the arc of history a little more towards justice. The progress fought for and won by generations before us is our greatest inheritance as Americans. I hope these words remind us of that truth. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to the city of Chicago and especially to the residents of the South Side. Thank you for raising Michelle, for welcoming me as one of your own, and for lifting up our family every step of the way. And thank you for embracing this presidential center, not as something of mine, but of yours. Hope is coming home, and it wouldn't have happened without all of you. We can't wait to welcome you to your presidential center God bless.
One person who ain't gonna be there, punk ass Donald Trump. That's right. Valerie Jarrett, who's president of the foundation, was on MSNBC over the weekend, and she says, yeah, he ain't invited. She said, nah, he can come later if he want to check the facility out, but he ain't invited to the opening on June 18th. Let's go to my panel. Thelma. So here's the deal. Former President Joe Biden, invited. Former President Bill Clinton, invited. Former President George W. Bush, invited. Trump punk ass ain't invited.
Access should not have been granted to this country with him anyway. So the fact that he's not invited is very clear as to why. This man literally just posted one of the most egregious, disgusting, deplorable things that any president can do to a former president and his wife. You don't just play with a man, but when you play with that man's wife, his rib, and you think you finna come to his center that is dedicated to him, that was built on his back and the back of his wife's work. Black men play about a lot of things, but don't play with that rib, because you gonna meet the person that you desired, but you ain't gonna meet him in a way that you think that you're gonna meet him. So him being denied access is necessary, is needed. He, one, cannot maintain a level of composure to be invited to an event of this magnitude. No, you don't need to come. You need to sit out there and twiddle your little orange Cheeto and your depressed hair, because everything on you and in you is a depressing atmosphere. So no, we don't need that kind of sin and that kind of gloom coming to the Barack Obama. Like, no, we don't need that.
We don't need poopy pants there, Scott.
It's hard to invite the current president, given not just the postings of the racist postings about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, but also his ongoing criticism of prior Democratic administrations, Biden, the posting of pictures in the White House with him writing like he's tweeting and writing negative things under their pictures and what have you. I mean, it's really juvenile.
But also he also removed Obama's portrait from the White House, and I think stuck it under a staircase.
Yeah. And so this is purposeful. It's intentional. And he doesn't expect an invite. It's hard for anyone to invite Donald Trump anywhere, quite frankly, because of the things that he said and the crassness, the crudeness, and really the criminality of his personality. And so I'm not surprised at that. I will say one thing about the postings, the racist postings with Michelle and Barack Obama. What I think a lot of people in the media missed wasn't so much that he posted it. They got that part. But the fact that he would not apologize for it being posting, that there was no coaching or termination of the staffer who allegedly posted it, if a staffer did post it. But the fact that it didn't bother him that it was posted, but more importantly, that it didn't bother him that someone on his staff, if that was true, thought it was okay to post it and thought it would be okay for him to post it. That's the real demoralizing part, because that goes to the human condition or the morality of someone. And as I've always said on this program and others, that this president is immoral, but he's amoral also. And it doesn't matter. One's not better than the other. And so there's really no hope for him. He probably, if you invited him, he probably wouldn't show up anyway to that crowd, nor would he be welcomed. And so I'm not surprised that he's not being invited. And he probably likes the fact. Look for him on June 18th to post something about the opening and be very negative and racist about it. I'll bet you a quarter he does.
The man
he can't help himself.
The man is uncouth, Ome Congo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Valerie Jarrett's mindset was, hey, if you stay petty, you don't have to get petty, right? But this isn't even petty. This is just the right thing to do. Like, I've watched interviews with Michelle Obama, read her, works over the years, and you hear her talking about as a mother. Like, forget the stuff that he said about them, which is ignorant and racist. She talks about, the target that he put on her children. and having to deal with all of that. I mean, the man posted their address at one point, and somebody went towards that area and came to DC, to go to their house. So this is a man who belongs on no presidential platform, and I can't imagine any of these former presidents inviting him anywhere, to be quite honest. And even if Barack Obama was probably trying to be like a little magnanimous and be like, well, I should do it in the spirit, Michelle Obama was probably like, if he's coming, I ain't coming, right? So he didn't really have a choice at the end of the day, even if he wanted to. But these are two individuals who have carried themselves from beginning to now with dignity. And as far as I can tell, Barack Obama is the only former president who is actively speaking up and working to challenge what Trump is doing in this White House, whether he's working with Eric Holder on this redistricting, with all of these things that people thought would never be done. Barack Obama is engaged. He's in the game. And lastly, we have to be mindful of, going to Scott's point, one of the reasons we're in this war right now is because Trump is so obsessed with undoing everything Obama did that he got rid of the Iran nuclear deal that Obama's administration ushered. And even though he had a better one on the table, still decided to go to war. So this guy disrespects the Obama's legacy in every way, shape, or form, and he has no business being in their space.
Oh, absolutely. And so I'm real clear. Don't nobody want to see his stank ass there. Don't nobody want to hear him speak. And so he can just keep moving. He can just keep moving.
Yeah.
Ain't no, listen, it's some family members I got who I don't invite to the cookout.
That's real.
It's some family members who can't come. So we know this fool can't come. We know he's insane. So I'm like, say dog, keep it moving. Ain't nobody trying to talk to you. Don't nobody want to see you. And so just keep on moving along. So we good. It'll be a good time without that fool being present. And so to me, that is a wise decision. All right, going to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about lawsuit in Texas over them removing Black, other minorities, and women from the historically underutilized business program. Republicans in Texas, all they wanted the white men to keep getting all the contracts. And so we will talk with the head of the Black Economic Forum next on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Brittany Noble, Midwest-born, HBCU educated with experience in newsrooms across the country. Well, I've teamed up with Roland Martin to bring to you The Breakdown. This isn't just news. It's our stories, our voice, our community. Join me for The Breakdown, Monday through Friday at midday, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Malcolm Lee, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back. Okay, so on Friday, the Orange One had a meeting at the White House to discuss name, image, and likeness. Now, all these big conferences, the NCAA, they want the federal government to weigh in because they are tired of the power being in the hands of these athletes when it comes to getting paid. So, Cheeto Man convened this whole deal, and it was absolutely nonsensical, where he talked about he was going to sign an executive order that was going to govern this. Y'all, he don't have that power. He does not have the power to govern college athletics. All right, this is what that fool said.
The amount of money being spent and lost by otherwise very successful schools is astounding just in a short period of time. It's only going to get worse. So we have to save college sports and save, I believe, colleges. Ultimately, we have to go through, I guess we have to go through, I'd do an executive order. I'd love to do that. I'll probably do it anyway. We'll do an executive order. We'll see how it works, because it would be a really nice, I have a really nice, simple idea. They are canceling golf. They're canceling wrestling. They're canceling fencing. They're canceling even basketball. I thought that would be maybe immune, but it's in trouble. And it's all going to football, but ultimately football is going to be the worst laggard of all. It's not going to be affordable, and it's going to take down practically every college. In my opinion, it's going to take down virtually every college.
Flat lie, flat lie. All right, so then he's complaining about NIL, and then the Supreme Court comes up. So the idiot had to be reminded, it was a 9-0 decision, fool.
And it's a mess. It's a mess. And I don't know whether or not that decision was appealed. Was that decision ever appealed? Does anyone know? Because I heard it was not appealed.
I believe the House settlement is being litigated now because it violates.
No, but was it appealed, the decision?
The House settlement, I think.
The original decision by the judge from California, was that appealed?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, the answer is no. It was settled because it was, I think, the third case.
Why didn't somebody appeal it?
The prior case, which is Alston versus the NCAA, was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court found 9-0 against the college position to defend the old system. So that's, I think the answer is the antitrust piece is the inherent problem in trying to create caps and limits. That's it.
So the Supreme Court was responsible for this?
I'm not the one who's going to say that. I'm not bold enough to say that, but I'll at least acknowledge the process.
9-0. 9-0. Was the Supreme Court responsible for this?
9-0 and Kavanaugh supported.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Yes, sir, please.
Okay. A lot of people were talking at this thing. We're going to pull up this Nick Saban soundbite, which to me I thought was also pretty hilarious. And see, so what these guys are complaining about, they're all complaining about how, oh my goodness, this is so bad. You know, it's so bad, all these schools and what's going on, and this is just so unfair. So listen to this.
Life when we had the ball trying to get a first down, when they had the ball trying to get off the field on third down. So this is an unlikely position for me to be in to speak to such a distinguished group of people. Thank you. But I come here today with a question. What are the guiding principles for the future of college athletics? All athletics. I'm talking about football, basketball, Olympic sports, revenue, non-revenue, it doesn't matter. You know, my goal as a coach for my players, for our players, was to help them be more successful in life, that we would create an atmosphere and environment that would help them through personal development, academic support, 668 degrees and 17 years at Alabama, and help them develop a career as a football player. That was our goal, so that they were creating value in life and we were preparing them for their future past athletics. So what happened? You know, in this current system that we have, that became impossible to do because people, instead of making decisions about creating value for their future, they were making decisions about how much money could they make at whichever school they could go to or transfer to. So I think we have a challenge here today about the ramifications of this current system on how it helps players be successful in their future and how we can impact and create a system that will help and preserve the opportunity for student athletes to be able to have success in their future beyond athletics. So we need to develop an effective system of revenue sharing, authentic name, image, and likeness, authentic being you have marketing value, which now we have collectives, which just create opportunities, which just become pay for play. Eligibility issues where we have guys playing 6, 7, and 8 years. So you have 25 and 26-year-old people playing against 18 and 19-year-olds, which is not healthy. Transfer rules, we have over 4,000 people in the portal. Fans don't like it, support groups don't like it. It's not really healthy for players in graduation to transfer several times in your career. You really put yourself in a pickle in terms of your ability to graduate. So I think we need to come up with a system, and we obviously have to do it with the president's leadership and also with Congress probably, whether it's antitrust legislation or whatever it is, to allow student athletes in all sports, including women's and Olympic sports, to enhance their quality of life while going to college, but still provide opportunity to advance themselves beyond their athletic career, which is what the philosophy of college athletics.
All right, so let me help y'all out with something, all right? Y'all just need to understand what's going on here. There's a guy named Walter Byers. And Walter Byers, for a long time, led the NCAA. And Walter Byers, again, this is the guy, y'all, who led the NCAA. I want to repeat this again. Walter Byers led the NCAA. Walter Byers wrote a book. This is, if you go to Amazon, this is the book. Walter Byers and the NCAA, Power, Amateurism, and Growing Controversy in Big-Time College Sports. He laid out in the book that basically they are pro players. He laid out in the book. This is the man who ran the system. A few years ago, Taylor Branch, the historian, did an e-book, and the e-book was called The Cartel. I had him on my Washington Watch show, and he talked about it. He talked about, in the book, he wrote that the phrase student athlete was created, and Thelma and Scott will appreciate this. The phrase student athlete was created by an NCAA lawyer to defend them in a lawsuit. This wasn't created because they cared about the students. An NCAA lawyer came up with the phrase student athlete. So you heard all these people. As a matter of fact, I was trying to understand. I was looking at the people seated. Ted Cruz is there and Mike Johnson is there. I think the only black person around the table, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I think it was Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward might have been the only one. Charlie Ward was seated next to Ron DeSantis. So Charlie Ward is, of course, the head basketball coach at Florida A&M. And so I'm sitting here watching all these people, a room of nearly all white people, okay, talking about college sports. There's two black people in the room, Condoleezza Rice and Charlie Ward. Matter of fact, let me see if I can get this shot right. I just want to show y'all. This was a wide shot of this was a wide shot of the room. And they sitting here showing the room. And it's like, okay, this is the people in the room. Ain't that many people looking like us. Okay, 2. So you heard Nick Saban sitting there talking about how we need to come up with something they can prepare for their future. Well, guess what? You got some players making $1, $2, $3, $4 billion a year. They're preparing for their future right now. You got guys who are making more money as college athletes. You've got women gymnasts. It's a white woman at LSU. She don't ever want to leave college. She making millions of dollars because of NIL. She ain't never gonna make that money when she graduates. So I'm confused. You're concerned about their future when the present money they making is guaranteeing a future. See, y'all, do you know the system that they used to? The system they used to is a poor black boy. We gonna, mama, we gonna take care of your son. We gonna give your son an education. We gonna make sure he go to class. And we gonna feed him. And he gonna give his all to us. And we gonna make millions. And your son, he gonna get an education. Well, why Nick Saban tripping? Nick, we all know Alabama was paying players under the table. So was the University of Texas, Texas A&M, Auburn. We can go down the line. Now the system is now money above the table. Now the reason they mad, well, ain't no loyalty. So now we concerned about money? Do y'all know last year, coaches were fired, and it was $280 million in guaranteed money paid out because of their buyouts. Cignetti, who just won the championship from Indiana. Indiana raised his salary to $13.5 million. So I'm confused. So Cignetti and Lane Kiffin and all the coaches get to get paid. Y'all, let me help y'all out. Nick Saban, 7 national championships. They took care of his house, low interest loan. Y'all do know Nick Saban has a couple of car dealerships in Tuscaloosa, right? Oh, y'all didn't know that, huh? Mercedes dealership. Nick getting paid. He was getting paid on the field, off the field. So now all of a sudden, the players, black players, some white too, are now getting paid. Now, oh no, we've got to regulate this system. We need Congress to step in. We need Congress to antitrust. We need Congress to come in. We need Congress to set the playing rules. And so let me help y'all out. They trying to pimp women's sports. Well, if these things happen, we're not going to have women's sports. And what about wrestling? And what about this sport? Football drives all of this. Why? TV money. And see, the reason they going to lose, Thelma and Scott, they lawyers. There was a Supreme Court. Y'all think I'm lying? Google this name, Grant Taft. GrantTeaff. See, that was a time when the NCAA controlled the TV contracts. Grant Taft and the coaches group, they sued. Went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, NCAA, y'all can't control the TV contracts. That's how the conferences got control of it. Now, I remember when Eddie Robinson testified, and he said how this was going to create an unfair advantage, and he was right. But y'all, this is where the money comes in. The reason they want Trump and Ted Cruz and Mike Johnson and Republicans and Democrats to step in, because the schools hate the fact that the players are no longer having to be emboldened by slave contracts. The player can say, yo, I'm here for a year, pay me, I do great. Another school is gonna sit here and offer me more money. I'm gonna hop to that school. They can't say, oh, the players, they no longer have the loyalty. Oh, the players, we don't look at them in the same way. All of the ways that we used to, I mean, what happened to team unity? These things no longer exist. No! Because y'all been making money. Do y'all know the head of the NCAA who stepped down recently? He was getting $1.9 million a year. These schools making money, athletes signing autographs and helmets and jerseys. Remember Pryor, Terrell Pryor, got suspended at Ohio State because he was signing hats, helmets, and jerseys and got paid for it and got suspended. Johnny Manziel came on later and admitted he got $35, $40, $50, $60,000 because Johnny Manziel said, hold up, how the hell I win the Heisman in Texas A&M, I got to sign jerseys and helmets, and they could turn around and auction it off for $10,000. That's my jersey. That's my signature. Man, y'all better ask somebody. Ask the Odom brother who sued the NCAA over the EA Sports game. Because the NCAA said, no. That's not you. Hold up, y'all got a Tim Tebow player play for Florida, number 15, and the black marks under his eye, built like Tim Tebow, run like Tim Tebow, throw like Tim Tebow, but it ain't Tim Tebow. Y'all, the doggone game actually had the Cincinnati Bearcats, and they had a player built like, looking like, playing like Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson hadn't played for Cincinnati in 60 damn years, but they were making money off of his likeness. They sued, went to federal court, they ass lost. Y'all, they've been making billions off of black talent. They've been sharecropping, and now all of a sudden, oh my God, the system is just grossly unfair. This is just not right. But I thought, Scott, Republicans love the free market. I thought the Republicans said, let the free market decide. I thought the Republicans were super believers in capitalism. Scott, what happened?
Well, that's all true until it comes to black folks and black athletes. If you have any melanin in your skin and you are free and you can make $1, $2, $3 million, you got basketball players at NCAA Division I schools who you probably never heard of. They got NIL money at $2, $3 million a year.
The boy at Miami who left Georgia, I forgot his name, quarterback, Miami was paying him $4 million.
Exactly.
$4 million a year.
But you're right about the exploitation, though. You ought to spend more time on this, that for decades and decades, these colleges and these TV contracts that give them billions dollars of not just money, but exposure. And all you had were these student athletes who were working out and running the football and shooting the basketball. And they said, we're going to give you an education. Without this basketball scholarship, you wouldn't be able to get an education. And that's more valuable than the billions or millions we're making off you. We're not making it off you. We're just in the entertainment business. You're the entertainer, and we're going to make you a college education. We're going to give you a college education. And then what happened? Then they start running the numbers, top 25 schools, NCAA Division I. How many of these athletes were graduating from four-year institutions or getting degrees? A small percentage of them. So they had to change that. So they made that better, I guess. I don't know what the statistics are right now. But now we're going to pay them. 9-0 Supreme Court decision. Now we're going to pay them. They can make millions in college, which They will never catch up to what these institutions have made off the backs of black and white athletes, black, brown, and white athletes, right? Because I understand what you're saying about exploiting the black athlete because they come from challenged neighborhoods and challenged backgrounds, but they exploited brown people too and white folks by giving them an education. It made absolutely no sense. Those kids wrestling aren't coming from millionaire homes. And so it's just catching up or trying to. But see now, if they fix this legislatively, right, and it passes while the Republicans are in control, it's going to take all that money away, and now we're going to go back to making college sports great again.
But right. First of all, and we say great again, more money going back to the schools. Go to my iPad.
That's right.
Go to my iPad. Thelma, it was 1984 of the NCAA versus Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma, 7-2 decision where the Supreme Court ruled that the NCAA controlling TV contracts violated antitrust laws. That ruling is what created the conferences being able to negotiate their own deals. Notre Dame being able to negotiate their own deal with NBC. They are mad because, Thelma, they no longer control the slaves. They mad. The slaves are like, yo, we can walk. We can go now. Now they mad. Now they mad. They're mad that players could sit here and say, how much? Listen, BYU all of a sudden is signing top basketball. What no brothers trying to go to BYU to play basketball? But guess what? Them Mormons out there in Utah going, sure, we gonna make it rain. And see, now the way the game work, all you need is one billionaire. Texas Tech got one billionaire. Homeboy sitting there like, I'm gonna fund the $25 million every year. That's how Texas Tech got into the playoffs. So they are mad because the players now, they can't use that BS against them. Now you play hard for 4 or 5 years, and then you'll get your money in the NFL. The players like, no, run me my money right now.
Listen, one thing that I think of is they want to make athletes poor again. That's their whole goal because now they got to work. And I said this when this whole argument and this framework started happening when I was in law school back in 2013, when they started this whole process. I said, this is a great idea. Like, these athletes need to get paid. Y'all are getting rich off the backs of athletes, and all you are offering them is a measly scholarship that you can take from them at any moment.
Not even a scholarship. It's not a scholarship. It's a grant in aid that renews every year.
Exactly. They can rip that at any moment. So why not pay them for their name, image, and likeness? They are bringing the people to the seats. They are the reason why the boosters are showing up and spending the money that y'all are asking for over and above. What they don't like is these athletes are getting their opportunity to operate themselves as a business. And when you are operating as a business, you're going to go where you are not tolerated, but you are paid. And you're paid based on the value that you see within yourself, not the value that they want, because they're going to discount you every single time. So when I hear the Nick Sabans, because we know he retired because he felt like he couldn't compete in the system that requires him to actually market and tell athletes why you should come here, not the other way around.
Look,
I want to come here.
I ran to Nick Saban at Reggie Jackson's golf tournament 2 years ago, and he was complaining there was this guy who was a reserve at Alabama, was offered $1 million by Ohio State to come there, and guess what? He took the $1 million, and he should have taken $1 million. And he was like, they're paying $1 million for a reserve. Yes, because he was a reserve at your school, but he's starting at Ohio State. And see, Ome Congo, here's the problem. See, the problem is the Nick Sabans of the world, they can't stack talent. See, they can't sit here and recruit 4 and 5 stars and say, yo, you're going to sit here and bide your time, and you got to wait 2 or 3 years, and then you'll get your shot. You can go to the NFL. Not players are coming in and say, no, I need you to run me my money as a freshman, as a sophomore. Now what you got is the people are mad because the player goes to a mid-major, excels, he now all of a sudden gets attention, and now the big schools come and say, hey, man, you a starting linebacker, you a lineman, you a quarterback at that school, we're going to pay you $2, $3 million, come to our school. Now the mid-majors are crying, but guess what? That football coach, if he goes 10-2 or 9-3 or 11-1 at that mid-major, you know what's going to happen? The big school going to come recruit him for a 5-year, $40 million contract. So if you get to lead for the money, I get to lead for the money.
That's right. And look, they've been running a plantation-style system for forever. Saban and all of these guys, everything was great when they had the power, when they can control these guys' destiny. And my thing is like, did anyone listen to the segment you just did with Morgan? I mean, people need to put themselves in any position possible to be able to get that money now. And my only hope is that financial literacy is coming along with it. But the fact that they are running to Trump, you know, these school leaders, these heads and all that are running to Trump saying, you know, save us, save us, save us. It really shows how problematic the system was from the jump. And my philosophy, whether we're talking WNBA, Caitlin Clark, you know, in professional now, but, you know, the college level, this system has been exploitative from the beginning.
Yep.
LeBron did a mini documentary about this as well. And now it's time for these players to get theirs. Hey, if you're a good coach, you should be able to run with any type of team that you got. It shouldn't be about you're in control of these players' destiny. And you're right, Roland. They want to go back to that old system where they just find, like, you know, the poorest kid who got a lot of talent.
Yep.
They're just going to promise everything to their mama that they're going to get those grades and maybe even go to church on Sunday and make sure. And all of that is gone because these athletes are finally getting theirs. And I say the more the merrier, athletes. Get your money, but get that financial literacy too.
And here's what's going to happen. Congress can try to intervene, but it's going to be some states that's going to sue. Because you know why?
That's right.
Because they want their schools to win. And so, y'all, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And I think they're going to lose. Because, again, now you're trying to tell states, you got state schools and private schools. Okay, Congress, what role do you have to play here? Trump he can't sign no executive order that mandates what a state school can do. They aren't governed by his executive order. Y'all, they just throw some BS out. And guess what? And there's some CBC members who are backing that bill. And so I'm going to have them on, but guess what? I'm sorry. They dead ass wrong. This whole thing is about curtailing the millions upon millions going to black ball players. And I dare say this right here. I dare say that if we actually ran the data, NIL is probably creating more. They're number 1, 2, or 3. They are creating more black millionaires on an annual basis per capita than any other industry in the country. I want y'all to think about that. You finally have black ball players who are 17, 18, 19, who are now being paid $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $750,000, $500,000, $250,000. They are now making money. And you know what? You now have high school players who are looking at NIL deals. So now all of a sudden, unlike in the last 50, 60 years, you now have black parents who are understanding the financial game at an earlier age. And so they ain't dealing with the illiterate black parent who has no idea, because now you've got these black parents who are talking to financial advisors. Now, guess what? That needs to be regulated because you got some charlatans out there, but they can't stand the fact that the ball players now have leverage. Guess what? Shit ain't funny when the rabbit got the gun, huh? That's what's going on here. Quick break. We come back. We'll tell you about a lawsuit in Texas, how they also are trying to keep black people and others from accessing the billions in state contracts in Texas. This could be the national model Republicans put in place everywhere. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat at the Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm TD Jakes, and you are watching the Black Star Network.
$250 billion. That's how much Texas spends every year on contracts. Now they have removed African Americans, minorities, and women from their Texas hub, historically underutilized business. Why? Well, they MAGA. The Republicans there want to call it DEI, and that's the game that they're playing. Then, of course, what that's doing, that's freezing out people of color. Now, I want you to also keep in mind, 60% of Texas is minority. 60% of Texas, Latino, Black, Asian American, Native American. They want the white folk to get the money. Alfonso Davis joins us right now, President and CEO of Global Black Economic Forum. I'm glad to have you here. Alfonso, the lawsuit has been filed. People need to understand this is going to be a precursor. Other states may do the exact same thing. I have been saying since last year that Donald Trump, MAGA Republicans, they want to defund Black America. They are targeting the entire economic, civil rights, education, health infrastructure of Black America. And this is a part of that strategy.
Thank you for having me, Roland. You're exactly right. And I think folks should be very concerned about what we're seeing in Texas. Just to give folks some background, in the early 1990s, the state of Texas, through the legislature and the governor, signed a law that provided more opportunities for women and people of color to participate in state contracts. And that law has been on the books since the 1990s. We have about 11 to 12% of contracts that are going to people of color and women. So that amounts to about $4 billion. $4 billion is being allocated to women and people of color in Texas. And late last year, an interim controller issued regulations seeking to completely dismantle the program. He decided that the program should no longer include women, should no longer include Black people, should no longer include brown people, and should only be limited to service-disabled veterans. Well, there's one problem. That problem is separation of powers, and that problem is the rule of law. An executive branch officer, such as a state controller, does not have the authority or the legal right to change a law that has been passed by the legislature. And that's essentially what he's tried to do, and completely eliminate all opportunities for women and eliminate all opportunities for people of color. That is unlawful, and this is why we have filed the lawsuit.
Cortina Williams is a plaintiff in this lawsuit. She also joins us right now. Cortina, here's what people don't even understand. First of all, I'm born and raised in Texas, and that law Alfonso references was signed by George W. Bush. And when George W. Bush ran for president, there were a lot of Black and Latino state legislators who did not campaign against George W. Bush because he was an ardent supporter of this program. And in fact, what people don't realize, on the federal level, historically what happens on the federal level, Republicans like to bundle contracts, meaning it's difficult for a small business to compete for contracts. The Republicans want only the major folk to compete. George W. Bush was the only Republican, not the only Republican, who actually unbundled contracts. So he took what they were doing in Texas, took it to the federal level. A lot of people don't realize that. So what this is about MAGA seeking to choke off the dollars to Black businesses and other minorities. And I keep telling these white women, y'all need to wake y'all ass up, because y'all been riding dirty all these years on these city, school board, county, state, and federal contracts, and they coming for y'all too. Cortina?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm glad to be here, Roland, and thank you for having me.
Just share go ahead. Share your thoughts why you are a plaintiff in the lawsuit.
I'm a plaintiff in the lawsuit because when I started my business, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur for one reason, several reasons, but the main reason is to be your own boss, to call your own shots. And so I became a business owner so that I could call my own shots. And I built my business model around the hub certification because that allowed me to compete for major contracts based on my qualifications and my work performance. And so that is why I became a plaintiff of this lawsuit, because that right to compete competitively, I still have to bid. Nothing will be given to me, but I can sit down at the table with everybody else and bid on these competitive contracts. That has been taken away from me by decertifying the hub certification. So that is why I became a plaintiff in this lawsuit, so that I could stand up for my right to be competitive and get part of the monies that are out there in these contracts.
Roland, if I can
Yeah,
also
go ahead.
just
Alfonso,
make
go ahead. Go.
a point that Cortina is raising here, because what has affected her has affected more than 15,000 businesses throughout the state of Texas. Let that sink in. We have more than 15,000 businesses in the state of Texas that were decertified, meaning they went through the process of getting certified. They proved that they were qualified. They proved that they had the experience. They proved that they could do the work. They were certified by the state of Texas. And then the state of Texas assigned them a property right to compete in the contracting process. With one regulation issued by an executive at the state controller's office, all of that gets wiped away. More than 15,000 businesses are no longer certified in the state of Texas. And that's important context. Cortina is one of more than 15,000 people that are affected by this policy. And this policy is illegal, is wrong, and has to be reversed.
So who does that?
The courts. So, and that's what we're reminding the controller, right? We have separation of powers. We have the legislature, they pass laws, the executive implements those laws, and the courts, the judicial system, determines whether or not those laws are constitutional and in compliance with federal and state law. An executive branch officer does not have the right to say, oh, I see the legislature passed the law. I don't like this word.
Oh, it's been happening.
I don't like this paragraph.
Alfonso, this has been happening all across Texas. I mean, the attorney general, like, yeah, I know the intent. It's like, no, you don't. I mean, so this is what they've been doing. But again, this is the same thing Donald Trump's doing in D.C. Their whole deal is, damn the laws, we get to determine, since we now in power, what should be done and how it should be done, which is why I keep telling people, if you don't vote, this is what happens when they are in power and they have complete control and authority of the entire process.
Exactly right. This is about our exercising our civil rights to vote and to have our interests represented by people that are supposed to represent our interests. So if you don't vote for legislators that are going to ensure equality and equal opportunity, then you're going to have a problem if those elected officials are advancing pieces of legislation that devalues your interests or potentially ignores you entirely. But here we have the opposite, right? We have the legislature that passed the law in order to create greater opportunities, and then someone in the executive branch decides that he doesn't like that law. And you're exactly right, Roland. This is not just about Texas. It's about all over the country that we're seeing people seeking to ignore what's happening through the legislative process.
Questions from the panel. Thelma, you're in Dallas, you first.
One of the questions that I have specifically is, what do you think the strongest argument when appealing this decision to the top? What do you think your strongest argument into making them understand, like, y'all see what they doing? Are y'all really about to dismantle a program that has helped so many and is a right to so many minorities?
Well, we have several legal arguments that we outline in our complaint. We have more than 16 counts in the complaint, and they fall into three separate categories. The first category is that the controller does not have the legal authority to ignore the law. That's just simply, as a matter of law, an executive branch officer can't ignore the law. Second, the controller issued an emergency regulation. Emergency regulations, you are required to go through a very detailed process. including providing notice and comment to people who are going to be affected by your regulation. And importantly here, there was no emergency. There is no reason to issue an emergency regulation decertifying thousands of people. And then finally, and this is just as important, the controller sought to decertify more than 15,000 businesses. And when he did that, he took away a property right, right? When the legislature creates a statute and they allow more than 16,000, 15,000 people to certify as women-owned businesses and Black-owned businesses and brown-owned businesses, that is a property right that you can't take away unless you provide folks with a notice and opportunity to exercise their objections to the removal of certification. That didn't happen here. So we have a slew of legal arguments that we're advancing in court as to why the controller is wrong, factually and as a matter of law.
Of course, they're trying to say, oh, it's because of DEI. Well, again, we know that's BS. Scott?
Yeah, I guess going to the legislature and getting the law clarified isn't doable because the Texas state legislature is Republican controlled. Is that fair to say?
First of all, before Alfonso
That's fair to
answers,
say.
but Alfonso, 1 second. But also, you don't have to go to the legislature to get a law clarified. I mean, the law is the law. It's been in place since 1999. So,
I agree with you.
So the problem here.
Look at all options.
Right. No. What I'm saying is, I mean, you can ask legislature, but the law is the law. It's already written. Mm-hmm. What they're trying to suggest is they're trying to say Greg Abbott's executive order prohibiting DEI now renders a state law illegal. Yeah. Alfonso, it's simple. An executive order can't override a law.
Exactly right.
Exactly right. The legislature has to change the law. Alfonso?
Right.
Correct.
So correct. Have you asked for emergency relief as part of your lawsuit? I'm just curious because
yeah, we're seeking.
If they disenfranchise 15,000 businesses, then and it's in violation of the law and their due process rights, and money's not going to, satisfy them or make them whole, then an emergency relief, because that's still a lawsuit, emergency relief would seem to be a really good approach. Is that part of your lawsuit as well?
That is exactly a part
Asking
of our lawsuit.
Emergency
our lawsuit
relief?
is more. Correct. We are seeking injunctive relief from the state controller for doing what he did here. And our complaint is more than 100 pages long and is very detailed. And it goes through why the controller is wrong as a matter of law, the relief that we're seeking, which is injunctive relief. We are looking to completely invalidate his regulation and compel him to comply with the statute. He doesn't get to ignore the law because he doesn't like it, right? We have separation of powers for a reason. We have rule of law for a reason. And an important point here to what Roland was mentioning earlier, remember, this statute has been on the books for more than 35 years. But second, members of the legislature tried to change the law last year to remove people of color and remove women. And that proposal was rejected.
Yeah.
The legislature, the legislature wants to. Abbott and his folks want to stop this, and it was a law that was passed by a Republican-controlled legislature, signed into law by a Republican governor, and now they want to try to simply undo this because their whole goal is to slap DEI on everything, and that's what it's all about. Let me also read this here. The other plaintiffs are Ipsum General Contractors, LLC, go to my iPad, Houston Construction Services, Sugarland-based medical technology distributor, Impulse Healthcare Technology, LLC, of course, Cortina's Companies, Burleson-based, Williams Professional Water Restoration Services, the Greater Houston chapter of the National Association of Minority Contractors, a nonprofit trade association representing 155 minority and women. They named the Texas Department of Transportation Executive Director Mark Williams, Texas Health and Human Services Commission Executive Commissioner Stephanie Muth, and Texas Facilities Commission Executive Director Will McCarroll. All of those departments implemented Hancock's changes to the HUB program. Scott, you asked the question about, go ahead, you had a second question, go ahead before I go next panel.
It was real quick. Real quick, what does success look like? I mean, litigation can take a long time while you got these 15,000 businesses out here. Even if you win at the federal district court level or state court level, you know, this is going to take some time. What do you think the options are? If you're successful in getting the emergency relief, they can certainly appeal. Any idea on discussing from a position of strength resolution or settling, whether that means them backing completely down or agreeing to some type of modification that allows those 15,000 businesses to get back on the approval sheet?
Yeah, it's too soon to sort of negotiate, trying to resolve what has been done here because it's completely unlawful what the controller did. How long litigation will take, as you know, it's too difficult to predict how long litigation will take. What we are doing, though, is seeking immediate relief from the court to reinstate the statute as written by the legislature and signed by the governor. What may or may not happen after that is anyone's guess. Could they appeal? Probably. Where will we end up at an appellate court? Probably. And we can litigate those issues, but in the interim, you cannot simply take away someone's property right, take away opportunities that they have been exploring. And keep in mind, one of the plaintiffs lost a $2 million contract a week and a half ago. So this is very real for businesses. This is very real for the plaintiffs. And you can't simply take away those opportunities and wait until litigation percolates through the court. We need immediate relief, and then we can resolve the other issues as we go through litigation, which can, as you mentioned, take some time.
On Congo?
Well, first of all, thank you for this work. I mean, it is so necessary. My question is, we were talking earlier about the economy and unemployment and so on and so forth. What are some other examples of what the consequences of this action are looking like in real time for these business owners? What are some of the, you just mentioned the $2 million contract. What are some of the other things that people are actually dealing with because of this decision right now?
You first.
Well, for many of the contractors, they have lost contracts.
They've
lost
Alfonso, hold on a
opportunities.
second. Cortina, as a company, how have you been impacted by this?
Negotiations with two different entities when the hub decertification came about, and those just went silent. No response, no explanation, no anything, just ghosted.
Alfonso?
Yes.
You were talking about the impact.
Yeah, I was just saying that we have plaintiffs in this case who have lost actual contracts. They have lost opportunities. They have built their businesses with the expectation that they would be participating in the HUB program. So we can't simply wait for a year or 6 months because some of these folks may be out of business. Right? And so that's really important for us to consider as we are thinking about the meaning of this case, why this case is important to the point you raised earlier, Roland, when you started the segment. This could happen in other parts of the country. So we have to fight back.
Again, as I said, they want to defund Black America. Cortina, I appreciate it. Alfonso, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Let's go to Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
A Cleveland mother has been charged with murder after 2 Black girls are found in a suitcase. You may recall that we mentioned this case last week. Investigators say 28-year-old Aaliyah Henderson, who was the girl's mother, has been indicted on 2 counts of aggravated murder and is being held in the Cuyahoga County Jail. She was booked on Wednesday, 2 days after the girls' remains were found on Monday evening by a dog walker near their home on the east side of the city. The girls have been identified as 10-year-old Amar Wilson and 8-year-old Mila Chapman. Their cause of death has not yet been revealed. And the Florida woman is arrested after using an AR-15 style rifle to shoot at singer Rihanna's Los Angeles mansion. Police say 35-year-old Ivana Ortiz fired at least 10 shots from inside her vehicle into the $14 million Beverly Hills area home on Sunday after 1 o'clock p.m. Rihanna, who was home at the time, shares the mansion with her partner, rapper A$AP Rocky, and their 3 kids. Investigators say a round penetrated the wall of the house. No injuries have been reported. Ortiz, who is originally from Florida, was booked on suspicion of attempted murder. Officials have not cited a motive for the attack, but authorities say weeks leading up to the shooting, she posted a series of erratic messages and videos on social media that referenced several celebrities, most notably Rihanna. Ortiz is being held on a $10.2 million bond. A federal jury in California has awarded $2 million to Letitia Nixon, the mother of Jamel Moore, in a wrongful death lawsuit against Ed Buck, a disgraced Democratic donor. The verdict was delivered in the United States District Court for the Central District of California after the jury deliberated for approximately 1 hour. The jury, consisting of 5 men and 3 women, unanimously found Buck civilly liable for Moore's death and awarded Nixon damages for the loss of her son. Moore, a 26-year-old black gay man, died of a methamphetamine overdose in Buck's West Hollywood apartment in 2017 after Buck provided the drugs that led to his death. Moore's death was the first of 2 fatal overdoses associated with Buck's home. Buck was convicted in 2021 on 9 federal charges, including distribution of methamphetamine, resulting in death related to both Jamel Moore's death in 2017 and Timothy Dean's death in 2019. Dean, another black gay man, died under nearly identical circumstances in Buck's apartment. In 2022, Buck was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Well, Live Nation has reached a settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice in its major antitrust case less than a week after the trial began. Under the deal, Ticketmaster must open parts of its platform to rival ticketing companies, allowing sellers like SeatGeek and Eventbrite to list tickets through Ticketmaster's technology. Live Nation will also pay about $200 million in damages to the states involved in the lawsuit. The case, filed in May of 2024 by the Justice Department and 40 state attorneys generals, accused the concert giant of maintaining an illegal monopoly over live events through its control of ticketing, venues, and artist promotion. The settlement also limits Ticketmaster's exclusive venue contracts to 4 years and allows venues to sell some tickets through competing platforms. Well, Fox News is apologizing after mistakenly airing the wrong video of Donald Trump during a coverage of a solemn military ceremony. The dignified transfer ceremony took place Saturday at Dover Air Force Base and was held for 6 U.S. service members killed in the Middle East. The network says archived video of Trump without a baseball cap was accidentally used during 2 Sunday morning broadcasts instead of video from the actual ceremony, where he was wearing a USA baseball cap. Some critics are questioning whether the mistake was intentional. Fox News says the mix-up happened when a staff member pulled older video by mistake, and the network apologized and later aired the correct footage. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs has vetoed a bill that would have created a specialty license plate honoring conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed while speaking on a college campus in Utah last year. Under the proposal, drivers who choose the specialty plate would have paid an additional $25. Of that fee, $17 would have gone to the nonprofit arm of Turning Point USA, the controversial right-wing organization that Kirk founded in 2012. Like other specialty plates in Arizona, the program was designed to raise money for affiliated causes through vehicle registration fees. However, the governor ultimately rejected the measure, preventing the plate from moving forward. And Northern Louisiana HBCU Grambling State University lands a legal victory over its iconic black and gold G logo. On March 2nd, the school revealed a decades-long triumph had finally come. The school finalized the federal trademark registration of the G under U.S. trademark registration. The logo was made famous by the university's football team and head coach Eddie Robinson. It now has full control over how their brand will be used in partnerships for the foreseeable future. And the logo is similar to the G used by the Green Bay Packers and the Georgia Bulldogs. Since 1998, the school has been embroiled in a legal fight over its logo. Grambling State University President Dr. Martin Lamel Jr. says this registration represents more than a legal achievement. It's a declaration of ownership over our history, our excellence, and our brand. Well, Jamaica has officially ended its 50-year medical cooperation program with Cuba. This marks a significant shift in the country's healthcare system. The decision was announced by Jamaica's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, led by Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. The program was discontinued after both governments were unable to agree on a new term for a technical cooperation agreement following the expiration of the previous agreement back in February of 2023. Despite the end of the formal bilateral program, Jamaican officials indicated that Cuban healthcare workers currently on the island will be allowed to remain for the duration of their existing contracts. This decision reflects the ongoing geopolitical dynamics and the impact of international scrutiny on health policy and diplomacy in the Caribbean region being dominated by legacy brands.
All right, folks, don't forget to watch The Breakdown with Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here on the Black Star Network every day. You can check out the headlines again, The Breakdown with Brittany Noble, noon Eastern. All right, y'all, our last story. Elections have consequences in Virginia. They like, yo, y'all ain't gonna be lying about January 6th. The bill passed 2119, mandating in Virginia that y'all can't be making up stuff about January 6th. They gotta actually teach the truth about what happened on that particular day. It was sponsored by Virginia State Delegate Democrat Dan Helmaris. The whole goal is to combat false statements by MAGA defending the attack on the nation's capital. Schools cannot portray the January 6th attack as a peaceful protest or suggest that widespread election fraud changed the outcome of the 2020 election. The measure says that school instruction must, quote, describe the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the United States Capitol as an unprecedented violent attack on United States democratic institutions, infrastructure, and representatives for the purpose of overturning the results of the 2020 presidential election. See, that's what happens, Ome Congo, when you get the power. Republicans keep doing that. Well, guess what? Democrats like, yo, we got the power. We're going to do the same thing.
Absolutely, and I need more of that. I need more of that energy, especially coming up, right now with the 250 and everything that Trump's doing, including putting his face on U.S. flags that are going to be produced. People have to take control of the narrative. They just put up the plaque 3 years after the fact. The Senate, honoring the people, the Capitol police officers. They did it at 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right, to make sure that nobody could see it. This is the part of reclaiming history that's going to be necessary, but it's also sad at the same time because it's like history repeating itself. We grew up learning about, slavery one way, and in the South, as you know better than anyone, Roland, they were calling it the peculiar institution, and, South shall rise again. So it's unfortunate that we have these dual narratives in America, as we always have. But I need more of this energy from Democrats as they take more power so we can have more control in this narrative.
Thelma?
I totally agree. Like, this is the energy that we've been asking for when we are talking about the Democratic Party, because what we have been experiencing for the past, I would say over 10 years, is soft play. We don't want that soft play. When you have the power, you have the numbers, what are you playing soft for? We need more of other states and municipalities and cities to take notice. This is what we are asking for. Show up, do the work, put it on paper and pass it so that we don't have to continue to experience the lack of power that comes from these ridiculous laws that have been implemented and integrated for so long. When we're looking at especially January 6th, we got to call it like it is. And these kids need to know exactly what this was, because this has never happened before. This is a perfect example of domestic terrorism. When you have individuals who have decided that they're going to go and overthrow the government, and we have individuals getting murdered, oh no, there ain't nothing peaceful about that. And I'm glad that they did this, because history needs to be told right the first time.
Absolutely. Yeah, oh my God, this is so hilarious. Let me pull this up, y'all. I gotta pull this up, y'all. the Atlanta Hawks in this stripper night is just too much. Give me a second. Yeah, let me show y'all what they just posted about an hour ago. Hold on. Let me pull this.
Listen, Roland, I used to date the owner of one of the major strip clubs in Houston, so I know exactly why this is not okay.
This is utterly hilarious. I need y'all to understand. Hold on. So the Hawks released a statement. They released a statement on social media where, first of all, I can't. Okay, I don't understand why I can't pull this up. Come on, I'm trying to transfer it to my iPad. Okay, did it finally come through? No. It came through. Y'all, this is stupid. This is what the Hawks posted on their Twitter account about stripper night, Magic City night. So they posted what to expect at the game. Legendary rapper and King of the South, T.I., will perform at halftime as scheduled. The limited edition peach tree themed hoodie will no longer be available for purchase at the game on March 16th. All pre-ordered merchandise will be honored and delivered as previously scheduled. The live recording of the Hawks AF podcast includes Hawks principal owner, y'all about to trip out. Okay, Hawks principal owner, filmmaker, and actor Jamie Gertz, T.I., and Magic City founder Michael Mr. Magic Barney has been canceled. Fans who purchased tickets to the recording will be contacted directly. Y'all gotta understand, Jamie Gertz is married to the principal owner of the Hawks, and she was an executive producer of the Magic City documentary series on Stars. I kid you not. And they also say the full array of award-winning culinary options available at State Farm Arena for Hawks games will be available, including the lemon pepper wing.
Oh, they so petty. They so petty.
Y'all,
they just couldn't. They had to get that part in there.
I no lie. And hold up, I saw earlier. Let me show y'all the statement that they posted after the NBA. Hold on, y'all. I'm telling you, this is what they posted. While we are very disappointed in the NBA's decision to cancel our Magic City night promotion, we fully respect its decision. As a franchise, we remain committed to celebrating the best of Atlanta with authenticity in ways that continue to unite and bring us all together.
Wow. Wow.
Really? Really? Y'all disappointed?
Right, the Hawks like, damn, Adam Silver, y'all done messed up our stripper night.
Like they can't go any other time.
Oh my God,
Jesus.
y'all, this is absolutely hilarious. That's hilarious.
This
All right.
is America.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. All right, let me shout out my sister Zena. Her 48th birthday is today. That's her holding her new grandchild, Phoebe. So so like I said, she turned 48 years old today. And so shout out to Zena. And then also today, y'all, is the 78th birthday of my homeboy, Jeffrey Osborne. Y'all know J.O. always doing his thing, man. We are always showing some love. We're always at the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Golf Classic every single year. We always enjoy being with Jeffrey. And so I sent him a text moments ago, and I said, hey, man, we're going to shout you out. So let's go ahead and do this. Is from, first of all, again, let me thank Scott of Thelma and Ome Congo for being on today's show. So we're going to close the show out, y'all. This is from last year's Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Golf Classic. It took place in September, and it was J.O., Smokey Robinson, Johnny Gill, Chris Tucker, We absolutely had a blast. Y'all know I always got my camera going. And so, again, we want to celebrate Jeffrey Osborne. So we're going to do this here. So I'm going to roll it at the end. Don't forget, support our network, join our Bring the Funk fan club, give via Cash App, Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Also for credit cards, right there. Checks and money order, make it payable to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle. Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to download the app. Of the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to get the swag, y'all, and get our T-shirts, hoodies, wall art, all that sort of stuff. Get it right there. You can also get our Black-owned products. All these products here on shopblackstarnetwork.com. You name it, we got it. You support these products and buy it from shopblackstarnetwork.com. You also support this show as well. And so go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Be sure to download the app fan base. Follow me there at Roland S. Martin. Let's close it out. My man Jeffrey Osborne turning 78 years old today. I'll see y'all later. Holla!